What's up, everybody? Welcome back to It's in the Blood. I'm Alex. That's Papa Blood. We are just a couple of people on the internet that are really bad at picking football games because we both went 5-8 last week. Round of applause. Yay. But this week we're gonna maybe do better. I don't know. This week's a wild week. Last week's a wild week. We're both at 500 for the year, so over 500, I mean. And so that's a plus. So we're going to get into it. We are going to do our very best. I'm only 4 games behind you, you know that?
4 whole games. Well, at least I got some kind of a cushion.
Well, my only goal this year is to at least keep up with you. Before we get started, if you want to join and make picks alongside with us, we've got our CBS Pick'ems in the description. There's a link there along with all of our social media and any way you want to find us outside of right here and right now. But with that all out of the way, let's get into the video and start with week 8 Thursday night football. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 3-3 heading to Buffalo to take on the 4-3 Bills.
Start by talking about my utter confusion over this whole week. I feel like Tampa Bay's got a really good defense that's getting some players back, and Baker Mayfield's been playing really well.
Before
But
you get into that, I will say Baker Mayfield is on the injury report list this week, knee injury.
then I'm going to say, but Josh Allen got kind of embarrassed last week. Buffalo got embarrassed last week. They're coming home. I think they're going to take it out on the Buccaneers. Give me Buffalo at home just because.
I feel like I'm going to go the same way with you. The thing is the Buccaneers have played out of their last 5 games, 2 of them were on the road, and those were the 2 games out of the 5 that they won. They have played well on the road. Buffalo did get embarrassed. This should be a rebound week for them. Although, with how everything went last week, I really don't feel confident in a lot of teams. I do feel confident enough that they can edge a win here. It may not be close, and it may be just how Buffalo needs it to go, but I feel like the trend of primetime games this year has been exactly that, and so I'm going to take the Bills for 2 reasons. One, if I'm right, it's because the Bills are doing what they're supposed to do. 2, if they lose, I still win, and so I'm going to take the Bills as kind of just a safe bet. All right, moving on to our next one. We've got the 4-3 Atlanta Falcons heading to Tennessee to take on the 2-4 Titans.
We get to see Will Levis for the first time this year, which is kind of cool. They're going to do a dual quarterback unless Tannehill is released at the last minute, which obviously it doesn't look like he's going to be. So we get to see a combination of Will Levis and Malik Willis. Might be something to kind of provoke this team to be a little bit better. However, I'm going to stay on this Atlanta bandwagon as they've only given up 1 rushing touchdown this year, I believe. And without Derrick Henry getting in the end zone, I don't think the Titans have a chance.
Yeah, I think this game, if these 2 young QBs can show some life, is the only thing that'll prevent them from pulling the trigger because the trade deadline is in 1 week from today at the time of recording this. And so if they pull out a win here and these 2 guys, at least one of them look really good, that might prevent them from losing guys like Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins. They already lost 1 guy, but it could push them to pull the trigger if they just kind of get embarrassed at home here. You know, both of these teams have been kind of weird teams. Obviously, Tennessee being a little bit worse, dealing with injuries and everything. As much as Atlanta has kind of struggled on the road compared to at home, I kind of give them the edge here. They've been playing a little bit better football. Desmond Ridder may not be the answer, but he's starting to look a little bit better. So I'm also going to take the Falcons on the road to pull the trigger for the Titans.
They're going to initiate the Titans to trade away their talent. Fun
Yeah, they're
times.
going to fire sale incoming if this ends badly. I'm just throwing that out there. Like, there's no way they don't just get rid of everybody at this point and start over.
You know what? Weird thing just come to my brain. I hope that if they do decide to have a fire sale, that they go ahead and extend Mike Vrabel, show that they have confidence in the coach because he is the right coach for that team.
great coach. If he's the one they pull the trigger on, then they're doing something wrong.
Absolutely.
But anyways, let's move on to the next one. We've got the two top quarterbacks in the draft. We've got the Texans at 3-3 heading to Carolina to take on the 0-6 Panthers. What do you think? Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud.
I remember all the grief that I took from some of our audience at the draft saying that CJ Stroud would be a better quarterback at the NFL. That's not proven yet, but he's had a much better start. I do think that more of what's going on in Houston that's really helping him is that D'Amico Ryans has got a great culture started. He's got a defense that believes in each other, and they believe in CJ Stroud, and they're protecting him. Carolina is kind of got some bits and pieces. Frank Reich hasn't quite got everything established yet. Bryce Young hasn't been protected properly. So that's the two biggest differences in the team. But with that being said, I like D'Amico Ryans, the way he's coached. I like Houston on the road here. I think they're going to sneak in for a wild card this year.
I'm not going to jump that far and say wild card, but I'm not going to rule a playoff appearance out. Based on their division alone, the way that the season has gone, they definitely can. I was one of those people, not necessarily giving you crap about CJ Stroud, just crapping on him in general. It's just Ohio State quarterback in the NFL translation kind of thing. And Fields is, some days I buy into him, some days I don't. Through 7 weeks of the year, the Texans have done a great job in getting him to keep taking that step and getting him fully ready to be the leader they need him to be. And so I really like what's going on there. The Carolina is one of those teams that I could see pulling the trigger and letting some players, not necessarily everybody, but a couple of their defensive pieces at least go in the next week as well. I just don't really have any confidence in the Panthers. They're going to eke out a win or two this year, and it's going to shock us because it's going to be a team we don't expect. I just don't feel like it's this one. And so I'm going to give the Texans the win, get them above 500. Looking pretty good.
Impressive.
The next one we've got the 5-2 Jags heading to take on the 4-2 Steelers.
Yeah, really interestingly enough, everybody's calling for Matt Canada's head. They're saying that Kenny Pickett's not the guy. He's won 4 out of 5 games. Pittsburgh has really been coming on strong.
I
But you
think
know
it's
what?
been at the hand of Pickett too, not Canada.
Yeah, and I just don't think, I know how Mike Tomlin coaches. These guys are going to win games. They're going to win games they're not supposed to. I really got a feeling about this one is that their offense does struggle to score points. And I think Jacksonville has an offense that can put some points up on the road. I like the Jags to get the win here. Part of me feels that way because I need Pittsburgh to lose a game in the division, but I still like Jacksonville the most.
I admire what both of these organizations are doing this season. I love the addition last year to Doug Peterson to the Jags. I love what he's done for Trevor Lawrence. He saved his career. Honestly, who knows where he'd be right now if some other clown showed up in Jacksonville and was trying to coach him. Yeah, both of these teams, they're 4-1 in their last 5 games. Jacksonville's been perfect on the road. Now, one of those road games was in London. I think that game was set up for them to beat the Bills. They'd been there for 2 weeks. The Bills just flew in a couple days before. So a lot of things went right for them there. And so, 2-0 away here in the States, 3-0 away in the last 5. They've got a great offense, but their defense is a little bit suspect to me. And so that's why I think it's going to be a little bit easier for the Steelers to move the ball. I know their run game has improved. It's not perfect or where it should be, but it has improved, which will help buy some time for Kenny Pickett to make less mistakes, I think. Pittsburgh's defense, they're just good. And I think they're going to give Trevor Lawrence some fits. They're holding teams to 20 to 21 points a game, which, is a lot of points, and it's not when you look at some of these other offenses. This Jags team could probably put up 50 any given game if they, had the right situation. So I think I'm going to take the home team here. I think guys like TJ Watt are going to try to help out their young QB and keep them rolling in the right direction because they've been a little bit of a shocker team this year. Being 4-2 is not where I had them starting their season, and they've gotten very lucky on a couple things this year. But I think even though they've gotten lucky, they're building confidence in themselves by ending a game with a win, no matter how it happens. And so I'm going to take the home team right here. It's not easy playing in Pittsburgh, man. Next match we've got on the slate, we've got the 3-4 Rams heading to Dallas to take on the 4-2 Cowboys that are coming off of a bye.
Yeah, I have a really weird thought about this game. When I first looked at it, I thought Matt Stafford going into Dallas, with that receiving core, he's going to have a good day. No Trayvon Diggs, da 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 da. But then I really sit down and thought about it, and I'll tell you the one thing I've never seen is Dallas in a 1 o'clock game. Usually they're always on at 4 o'clock, messing me up if I want to run a stream. But I really think Dallas has the better team here, offensively, defense, the most complementary. And so I think I will stick with the Cowboys at home.
This is going to be one of my probably 2, maybe 3 major upsets of the week. I am going to take the Rams going into Dallas, and this is not even to disrespect the Dallas Cowboys, which is my normal approach.
Puka
This is
love.
Puka Cup's coming into another week with this team, this offense. All they have to do is keep Stafford upright. Will they be able to do that? Maybe. We'll see. I think if he can get the ball out quickly, these guys that they have catching passes for them are playmakers. That's why they have the statistic yards after catch. Like guys like Cooper Cup are the reason they track stuff like that. And so, and Puka's an emerging star as a rookie. Those two guys, the ground game might not be its best. I something is telling me Sean McVay just had his baby today. He's going to be wound up about that. He's just happy that the baby wasn't born on game day. He warned him not to come out that day, and he didn't. So, he's feeling good. He's living life, and he's going to get these guys hyped up because Sean McVay's a locker room guy. I do like the Cowboys, but I feel like this is one of those matches the Cowboys are going to kind of look down on. Like when you got a bad team on your schedule and you're just like, whatever, like they did with the Cardinals, and then the Cardinals came and whooped up on them. This is kind of how I feel, and they are rested, so I do like the fact that they're healthy. I find this is going to be a very close matchup, but I'm going to take the Rams as an upset. Next up, we've got a divisional matchup in the North. We've got the 3-4 Vikings coming off a huge upset on Monday Night Football, taking on the 2-4 Packers in Green Bay.
Man, I'm really in a position here where I'm not sure what I think.
There is no point spread, by the way. It's
The biggest thing that I can take away from this right now is it's a divisional game. It's going to be decent. I still think Brian Flores' defense is emerging. They're getting better.
They look good.
Jordan Love is still struggling to find his wide receivers. I can't believe I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins, going into Lambeau and getting the win over the Packers.
I went back and forth. I flipped a coin 10 different times. Every time I wasn't satisfied with the answer, even though it was just flipping back and forth. This is one of them games, man. My thought process on this one is this Packers team is young. They're 2-4. They're not expected to be great this year, but they're not going to get embarrassed two times in a row at home by a divisional opponent. Like, I just feel like even if they're not the better team right now, they're going to string something together. They're going to work together. This is the type of games they've played all year, is gritty, grindy kind of games. They're going to find a way. I think the Vikings truly overperformed on Monday night. They're coming on a short week, but shout out to their defense, man. And shout out to their offensive line. They gave the 49ers 0 sacks. And if you were here with us on Monday, I said that plenty of times that I was upset about it. But shout out to that offensive line. That is not an easy task to do. I'm going to take the Packers, and it's not even an upset because there are no point spread odds. It's 0. It's even. Next one we've got the 2-5 Patriots coming off a shocking win against Buffalo last week. Thank you. Thank you. Heading to Miami to take on the 5-2 Dolphins, who kind of got whooped up on Sunday Night Football.
Well, I think we can agree that Philadelphia played up to their standard, but Miami seems to really only beat up on bad teams. And right now, New England is still a pretty bad team. Buffalo is inconsistent, so I'm not giving them much credit on that win. I'm not going to start just because they beat Buffalo. I'm not going to jump down the rabbit hole. Give me the Dolphins at home by plenty.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the closest to lock of the week for me. Like I don't usually do that, but this is one of the ones I feel the most confident in. And historically, the last couple of seasons, especially, Tua and what he's starting here in Miami. But even back before that with Ryan Fitzpatrick, the Dolphins have kind of just whooped up on the Patriots. And, I know the Patriots got some confidence back this past week. Do I think this will be a game? Maybe half of it, really. I just don't think this Patriots team has enough right now going right to slow down. The Patriots defense isn't the Eagles defense, right? It's not. There's a lot of things going into it, and I am more than confident in taking the Dolphins at home here to bounce back. Will it be ugly? It definitely could be, but I just feel confident that they're going to end this game with a win. The next game we have is the 3-4 Saints head to the 3-4 Indianapolis Colts.
New Orleans defense has been pretty good this year. Not great, but pretty good. They've played some decent football. Gardner Minshew knows how to run this offense. They put up good numbers against the Browns last week at home. I think that trend kind of continues this week. Jonathan Taylor gets more into the offense, and Derek Carr just keeps going further down that rabbit hole of being inconsistent. I'm going to take the Colts at home.
Listen, the run game for New Orleans hasn't been its best. Chris Olave just got arrested the other day, so I don't know if he will be available for this game. And that's a big playmaker. He's got some of the most red zone targets out of across the league. That's a big loss if he's unavailable. Even if he is available, he's very young. Mind games are part of football, and that might eat at him a little bit, his conscience, dealing with that and what the people are saying about him and things like that. I just feel like the Colts are mad about last week. It was a very, very unfortunate ending for them. And so I think 2 weeks in a row at home, they put up like 35 points last week. If they can
38.
do that on the number 1 defense, I have a feeling they can do that against the Saints. So I'm going to take the Colts at home, but this feels like one of them games, man. You know how it is. Next matchup we've got is the double home team effect. We've got the 3-3 New York Jets heading home to take on the 2-5 New York Giants.
Wow. Well, they say Daniel Jones may play in this game. I'm not really sure.
Why would they say that?
I heard it on the radio today on NFL radio. They said that. But regardless, I like Tyrod Taylor. I think that they are playing very well with him running the team. He gives them a little bit more of a boost. Maybe he's a little bit better of a leader. I'm not positive.
I think
I'm not in the locker room, so I can't tell. But all things considered, the Giants played well last week. They didn't win.
They did win. They played against Washington. They won 14-7.
Wow, where did my brain? Oh, you're right. Okay. They did get the dub. But anyway, I'm going to still go ahead and say that this Jets defense is better than any defense they've seen thus far. And turnovers are going to run rampant. They're not going to be able to run the ball. And despite anything that he could possibly do, Zach Wilson's going to run the game well enough to win it for the Jets.
Do you think the Jets defense is better than the Cowboys?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, you said that the Jets defense was better than anything they've seen this far, and they lost like 40-0 to the Cowboys. So I was just curious what you thought about that.
That was any given Sunday type of D right there. I mean, and Dallas usually whips up on them anyway, so it was kind of. I think that one's. I don't want to say predetermined, but You just kind of felt that game might go that way. I didn't personally. I was trying to be big on the Giants this year.
Yeah, you
But
picked the
Danny
Giants that
Dimes
week,
has
but it's
about worked
fine.
in since.
We don't have to talk about it, but you did pick the Giants in week 1, and I told you you were very, very wrong before the game kicked off.
You
Uh,
were right.
you know what? You already know what I'm gonna say. I am as biased as it gets. Give me this guy, this guy to get the dub at home, away at home, and keep the Jets rolling to a playoff spot in the 7 or 6 seed, or maybe the division. The division feels wide open right now. I like the Jets here either way, but if the Giants had a brain and lets Taylor play over Jones, I think it might be a little bit closer. They give him an edge on all cylinders of being a quarterback. On to the next, we've got the 6-1 Philadelphia Eagles heading to division rival 3-4 Washington Commanders.
Wow, this game earlier in the year was really, really good.
It was incredible.
I mean, we had a really good time with that game. I liked it. But there's something telling me to go against what I want to do here. I was so impressed with the Eagles playing the Dolphins. I just feel like poor Sam Howell's going to get sacked a bunch in this game. I'm going to take the Eagles on the road. I don't know why. I just feel like it's going to happen.
Listen, you can take that last matchup out of this conversation because I had forgotten about it until like 2 days ago. So that isn't going to sway me either way. I feel like the Dolphins don't have the best defense, right? The Eagles exploited that. Their defense played lights out and held the Dolphins offense to 10 points. Good job. That was great. That was the most impressive part about that win. They held Tua and the Tua-led offense to 10 points. And so that's the biggest takeaway for the Eagles on that one. They're not playing against the Philadelphia Eagles again. They are playing against a division rival. Any given Sunday, give me the Commanders at home. They won it back. They almost beat them in their home, and they know, they remember that. And I'm gonna get burnt on this one probably, but I'm gonna take the Commanders at home to play shocker. On to the next one. We've got the 4-2, surprisingly, Cleveland Browns heading west to Seattle to take on the 4-2 Seahawks.
Here I go again. Last week, the Browns did something pretty amazing with PJ Walker. They put up almost 40 points at Indy, 39, whatever it was. They go out west, which is problematic. They play a good team in Seattle. Myles Garrett changes games, but I'm going to stick with my Seahawks at home. I like them to win this game, even though I want to pick the Browns. I just feel like the Seahawks have taken some really close losses, and I feel like they're really going to step it up for their home game.
Yeah, this is another one I went back and forth on. Both of these defenses have been playing at very similar levels. I know other than the Colts game, this Browns defense has been historically good. Last week was just nuts. I don't know what to say. I don't think that makes their defense worse that they had one bad game. Everyone has a bad game. Look at the Lions last week. Like, do you think they're still a bad football team? I don't think so. But PJ Walker is really given a boost to this team. Very similar situation, having a high-paid quarterback where your backup is outplaying him to New York with Daniel Jones and Taylor. Walker's trending to play in this game, as far as I know. Watson took another big hit in this game against the Colts right as he got back from the same injury. So it's trending that PJ Walker is going to play again. He's building a relationship with these guys, and I think the offense is just going to start looking better. The run game has been solid. I know their running backs popped up on the injury report this week, but I'm going to take Detroit to, their defense is not going to give up 38 points this week. I just don't believe it, and they're going to lock things down and fix their mistakes from last week, and they're going to give the Seahawks a time. So I'm going to take the Browns on the road. Also, DK Metcalf is on the injury report with a rib injury, so I don't know where that's going to go either. I know it's tough for Midwest teams to go out west. I I'm feeling confident in the Midwest teams going out west this week, if you catch my drift. And so give me the Browns. I know you don't want them to win. I like both of those teams a lot right now. Okay, the next game we've got the 5-2 Ravens heading to Arizona to take on the 1-6 Redbirds.
Just out of curiosity, is Kyler Murray playing this week?
He's a full participant in practice today.
The Ravens played their absolute best football game of the year,
It's probably the last 2 years.
scoring on their first 4 possessions in that game, straight up 28-0.
They got up
Dang.
38-0.
Well, oh yeah, that was just the first half. The
I
first 4
know.
possessions, they put it in the end zone. They're really good. You know what? But I think this Ravens team's clicking really well right now. I look for I want to take the Ravens on the road, and I look for sometime during this game for Hollywood Brown to try to switch jerseys and go back to Baltimore as they sneak out of town.
You know what? I feel like this game just is screaming at me, trap game. I'm going to take the Ravens just because they're playing really well. But traditionally, with the Lamar-led Ravens, after their best game of the year usually comes one of their worst. Next one we got, I have been dying to hear your thoughts about this one. The 3-3 Cincinnati Bengals coming off with a bye, heading to San Francisco to take on the recently defeated on Monday Night Football 5-2 San Francisco 49ers, most likely without Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold at the helm.
Crap. When you sent me that text today that showed Purdy was on the concussion protocol list and Darnold was probably trending to start, I cringed. And the reason why I cringed is I always felt like Sam Darnold was a great draft pick. I felt like he was a great player. He was
Wrong
just in the
place.
wrong system, wrong place, wrong time. He didn't do very well in Carolina. No quarterback's done very well in Carolina. Then he gets picked up and brought out here to San Fran. Jimmy Garoppolo sent packing. He and Brock Purdy and Trey Lance are kind of there. Trey Lance looks like he takes the back seat to Darnold. Tells me that he played really well in their camp. Scared to death that Cincinnati's not going to be prepared for this kind of a backup who's probably going to put up a show because he wants to play ball. I'm going to say, however, I'm going to pick the Bengals on the road because of the bye and because they've had time to let Joe Burrow heal up a little bit. Every week he's getting better and looks better, even though he didn't have a great performance against the Seahawks defense, which is really good, by the way. It's hard to be really good against them. However, I'm going to say this right now. If they run the same old offensive plays that they have been running this whole season, Brian Callahan, Zach Taylor talking to you, you guys need to mix it up a little bit. You need to go more play action, get Joe out on the bootlegs and let him throw, let him make decisions because your play calling stale. Give me the Bengals, and hopefully they don't get embarrassed this weekend.
If you would have asked me who I'd picked 2 weeks ago, I would have picked the 49ers without even thinking twice about it, right? Like, not taking in consideration the progress of Joe, like, none of that. Like, if you just asked me straight up 2 weeks ago who was going to win this matchup, I would say the 49ers, and I wouldn't have debated it with you. But with no Deebo Samuel, I know Christian McCaffrey's not on the injury list, but his oblique is still torn. It doesn't just heal in a couple days. Like, it's torn. So he's injured. No Deebo Samuel. May or may not have Trent Williams for this game. They're on a short week. I think the Cincinnati defense is just going to do what they've been doing and playing really, really well. I do want to point out one thing that I thought is hilarious, and I have to take my jabs when I can. That Orlando Brown Jr. just pops up on the injury report with a groin injury because he's too scared to go up against Nick Bosa. Like,
he got pulled out of last week's game for that injury, by the way.
If he doesn't play, I know it's because he's scared.
He said he was playing this
I
week.
know. I'm just taking my jabs where I can get them.
He's not done the greatest, so we all know.
He doesn't do
we know
good
that.
against people like Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa and Von Miller. I've seen it firsthand, and I can't wait to see it again because that's probably the biggest issue of this whole game, right, is the Bengals' offensive line. But with that being said, Sam Darnold's probably going to have a really good game. Let's be honest. It's just how it happens in Cincinnati. Every game that Cincinnati plays against backup quarterbacks, they either lose or they make them look like gods, one or the other, even if they do win. And so I'm going to take the Bengals here because I am just confident right now. The 49ers should win this game. It's at home. I don't care if it's Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold is I'm not even going to say that. I think Sam Darnold will be more than,
Capable.
efficient in this type of offense. What will the ground game look like? I don't know, but I'm sure they're going to figure out something because Christian McCaffrey will play. He'll probably see the end zone to continue his historic streak. The 49ers suffered a couple injuries on Monday Night Football outside of Brock Purdy as well that you got to keep an eye on. That they might be fine. We'll see, but I like the Bengals here. If the Bengals let me down here, that they're supposed to. Like the 49ers are supposed to win this game, but I think Cincinnati's a good football team with great defense as well. Joe's getting healthy. I like the Bengals coming off of a bye. Next one we've got is the 6-1 Kansas City champions heading to Denver to take on the Broncos for the second time in 3 freaking weeks.
Here's one of those games that feels like it might be stupid close, but
Yep.
I don't have anything. I haven't seen anything from Denver that tells me that they can compete and that they can win this game. They're going to be competitive. I think Russell Wilson will play fairly well. I just think Kansas City's defense is going to be a little too much. I think the addition of Mecole Hardman gives them another
My boy.
another avenue to go for offense. I think they're just getting better. We haven't seen their best football yet. Give me the Chiefs on the road to continue that big, long streak.
I think last week against the Chargers was just really a breath of fresh air for me. And you say you can't complain your team's winning. I can complain because it is my team. We haven't looked great, and even Patrick Mahomes in his post game said, I know we don't look like the old Kansas City Chiefs putting up all these numbers every single week, but we're figuring it out. These young guys are finally getting a little more acclimated, and each week we're going to continue to work on that and get better. And I'm just blessed every day to have that man on my team. I'm just saying, but I think their best is yet to come, and I think every week we get to see a little bit more of a glimpse of it. I think we're figuring things out at the right time, and luckily we haven't lost very many games up until that point. Our defense playing lights out. The only guy on our defense on the injury report is Nick Bolton, which comes to no surprise. We have Drew Tranquil in his place. I will never, ever, ever pick the Chiefs to lose against the Broncos. It won't happen. I will never do it. It's the one game, even talking division, I would pick against the Chargers or Raiders before the Broncos. So I'm going to take the Chiefs here, but I like to see that the Broncos are going to still probably put up. I know the last game was like 16-19, but I feel like it's going to be like 27-24. Like I think more points will be scored in this matchup. Also, if we lose this game, I'll go dark for week 9.
Hey, I will give you one stat that you did not throw at me. The Kansas City Chiefs are the only team this year to have a 6-game winning streak in the NFL.
That's fair, even though 2 teams have won 6 games. I didn't think of it that way. It's because we lost in week 1. Yeah, I know. Let's go. Let's move on to the next one. We've got Sunday Night Football, which we were talking earlier, pre-recording that this game may be one of the games that we see our first major flex out of Sunday Night Football, which none of us will be mad about, except for maybe Chargers fans. I would be excited to see the Super Chargers fan in the stands for this one. But we've got the Chicago Bears sitting at 2-5, heading to LA to take on the 2-4 Chargers.
Wow. There's a big part of me that is going to be really rooting really hard for Tyson Bagent, this undrafted free agent quarterback.
It's hard not to. It's hard not to root for that guy at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to really root for him. I hope he plays a great game. I hope he's the guy that becomes the next big thing and makes some controversy at the QB position because I love chaos too. but I really feel like Justin Herbert is going to get right in this game. I don't see much opportunity for the Bears to win it. The Chargers, they really don't have home field advantage, but they've got more than enough weapons to win this game. Give me the Chargers at home.
I know the Chargers have Gerald Everett, tight end, and Josh Palmer both on the injury report with a knee and with a quadriceps injury for Gerald Everett. So, those are two names that have been called upon by Justin Herbert quite a bit so far this season. So, if they don't play, it makes this offense look a little different. The Bears injury report is a mile long, including Justin Fields will have Tyson, the undrafted free agent rookie, filling in, who played nearly a perfect game last week. Shout out to that guy. I didn't even know he existed until last Sunday. So cheers to him. I hope he continues, because even if he doesn't stay in Chicago, he might get a job somewhere else because of this. These two teams, like I said, one is 2-4 and one is 2-5. The only difference is one of them has had a bye week. Statistically, they're the same. And I don't understand, because the Bears' offense should be producing, but their defense isn't really expected to do a whole lot. The Chargers' defense is supposed to be a little bit better, on top of the fact that their offense is a good offense. They've got a decent O-line, great receiving core, arguably great QB, and the run game. Austin Eckler getting healthy, of course, finally. I'm going to take the Chargers here, and this is going to be one of the. Did you take the Chargers? Okay, I couldn't remember what you come to, because you were talking about the quarterback. But this is one of them games that I'm actually going to be mad if the Chargers lose. I've said that twice already this year, and they lost both of them games. But I will actually be mad if they lose this game. I as much as I don't like Brandon Staley, and I'm tired of seeing his face on TV every single week, I don't want this game to be how he loses his job. I want them to get it done at home. I'm a Chiefs fan, so I should root against them, but I like the Chargers. I just do. They're not they may not win a lot, but I like them. I want to see Justin Herbert accomplish something in his career and not just be another Phillip Rivers, which is what it already looks like, statistically, of course. But I'd like to see something from these guys, and if they're going to do anything, it starts now. It has to. Last and final game we have on the slate, we've got the 3-4 Raiders on Monday Night Football heading to Detroit to take on the 5-2 Lions. The Lions coming off their worst loss in a very long time against
Yeah,
the Raiders.
embarrassing, totally annihilated, obliterated. They got destroyed. They are embarrassed. They are hungry. Them kiddies are going to eat. They're going to beat the snot out of them Raiders at home.
I'm obviously going to take the Lions at home. I don't care what the people on the internet have to say about the loss to Baltimore, okay? Everybody melts down once, at least every year. Every good team melts down once a year, right? Usually at the hands of the Washington Commanders when they're doing bad. But in this case, they lost to a good football team. They also have beaten good football teams this year. So, take that what you will. Maybe Lamar Jackson's their kryptonite. Who knows? It's like that sometimes. But
Same people that was complaining about, were the same people that were picking them last Wednesday to win that game by a landslide in Baltimore. People are fickle. It's
yeah,
a really good team. They
they
just got a
change their
really
mind
bad
every
loss.
week, and my mind's been made up. They may not be the best, but they are contending. They're definitely contending, and it's their division to lose. So, winning your division may not make you the best, but it makes you the best of your division. And so, at the very minimum, right now they are the best of their division, and there's no arguing that. I don't care what last week looks like. This week's a new week. It's called Any Given Sunday. They were on the road, now they're at home. For all I know, they're going to win this game 38-6, and it's going to be Devontae Adams' last game in black and silver and white before the trade deadline, because he's obviously unhappy, and that's not a guy you want to keep around. That's not going to do anything for you because he's unhappy. So give me the Lions at home to close out week 8. Do I look for that to be a terrible game? Well, a good game for Detroit, but I just feel like this is a for sure deal. Like the Raiders always play kind of good in prime time, but they're not stopping them. They're not stopping them. It's just not happening. And you know what? I'll put $5 on the Raiders just in case because betting on the underdogs this past week has won me some money. So, if you do bet responsibly. But that's all we got for this week. Let us know in the comments who you pick and what you think our record is gonna be at the end of this week because it's got to be better than 5-8. No teams are on the bye, so we got 16 games. If I only get 5 right this week when there are more games to be played, I'll be very upset, but it's very possible. We deferred on a lot today.
Yeah, we were on games that there's games I thought we'd be on the same page, and so here's a golden opportunity to make up some ground this week.
Make up some ground or bury myself, one of the two. But thank you guys for watching. Like we said at the beginning, we are It's in the Blood. I'm Alex. This is Papa Blood. We're here every week, and we're here for most every single primetime game. If you want to stop in, say hello, hang out with us, or roast us in the comments, whatever you want to do, we appreciate it all. So hit the thumbs up button, and we will see you guys on the next one.